so-called truce.
That's correct.
This was originally folded. Just a couple more, Detective. 137S. An article entitled Living Dangerously.
Yes, sir.
And it appears, if you look really close at the bottom, this is from People magazine in September 23rd of 1996.
That's correct.
T, the last on this one, an article entitled on March 10th of 1997, No Easy Answers for Violence in Gangster Rap.
That's correct.
Now, in addition to being the, let's call you impounding officer at the vault on April 23rd, did there come a point in time when you went as a law enforcement officer to California to interview certain individuals?
Yes, I did.
Do you recall the individuals you interviewed?
Yes, I did.
Can you tell me who they were?
We spoke with Yosef Yaw, Rashina Smith, Corey Edwards, Roger Williams. I believe there was one more. I can't remember.
Mob James?
Yes.
James McDonald?
Yes, James McDonald. That's who it was.
In addition to that, did you become aware that in this proceeding, well, let me ask you this, as a homicide detective, do you know what a compelling order is?
Yes, I do.
What's a compelling order?
It's basically an order issued by, well, in this example, it's issued by the state of California, compelling witnesses who live there to appear in front of the court.
We have to ask our court to issue some documentation, and then we have to ask their court for a compelling order.
Correct.
Judge, I'd ask you to take judicial notice that you've issued compelling orders for Trayvon Lane, Roger Williams, James McDonald, Corey Edwards, and Virgie Brooks.
Let me make sure I have all those, actually. All right.
There might be a sixth one, actually. Oh, Malcolm Greenwich would be the sixth one.
All right. Corey Edwards, I'll take judicial notice of that one. Roger Williams, I'll take judicial notice of that one. James McDonald. James McDonald. I'll take judicial notice of that one. And then there's another block of them a little later.
Correct. I think Virgie Brooks and Trayvon Lane came a little later.
Trayvon Brooks. I'll take judicial notice of that.
Virgie Brooks.
Sorry, Trayvon Lane. I'll take
Trayvon
judicial
Lane.
notice of that. And, all right, Virgie Brooks.
And then recently Malcolm Greenwich.
recently Malcolm Greenidge. Michael Payne.
What?
Michael Payne.
Michael Payne was a transporter.
Okay. Malcolm Greenidge. All right. I'll take judicial notice of that.
Of all six.
Yes. So,
Did you become aware that certain of those six individuals weren't cooperating even though they had been served papers by California?
Yes, sir.
And so did you coordinate with anyone to assist California authorities in locating these individuals?
I did.
Oh, and let me back up. There was also someone in New York that there's a compelling order for, correct?
I'm not sure if the order was served or issued, but yes, I know the individual in New York.
Did you locate someone by the name of Anthony Gomez in New York?
Yes, sir.
And he is currently on probation.
Correct.
And there's an effort to locate what jurisdiction he was in order to get a compelling order.
Yes, sir.
All right. What did you do with the people who weren't cooperative despite the California authorities ordering them to come to Nevada?
We went up on their phones, which means we received orders to where we can ping their phone location to try to identify where they were specifically at.
And for those people, well, how many pens do you think you did?
I think about 5.
And do you remember which 5 you had to do pens on?
Corey Edwards, Fergie Brooks, Roger Williams,
Was there Malcolm Greenidge on
yes, Malcolm was, yes. And I can't remember the last one. I know we've already spoke about him though.
Well, no. How about Devontae Lee? Did you have to get one?
Yes,
Now, Devontae Lee was local, so we didn't need a compelling order.
correct.
Last Friday, did you coordinate with our local authorities as well as authorities in California in order to effectuate an arrest warrant in California for anybody?
Yes,
And who did you try to effectuate an arrest warrant on?
Corey Edwards.
And was he located at his residence?
No,
Was there any other person associated with Corey that was missing from his residence?
yes, there was.
And who is that?
His mother.
And is your understanding that she is 95 years old and an invalid?
She's in poor health, yes.
On Monday, was there an effort at another location in Compton to effectuate an arrest warrant for Mr. Edwards?
Yes, there was.
And was that successful?
No, sir.
Thank you, Detective. I'll pass the witness.
Thank you.
all right. Cross-examination, Mr. Sams.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you doing, Detective Gaddis?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right, thank you. Thank you for appearing here today.
Yes, sir.
Now, your testimony is based on your work with Clifford Mogg from 2023 on.
Well, I've worked with retired Detective Mogg since 2018.
Okay, so in 2018 to 2023, what did you do in furtherance of this case?
I personally did not do a extensive amount of anything. It was primarily was being investigated by Detective Mogg.
Right, and so from 2018 to 2023, you didn't do anything of real note. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, as a detective with Metro, obviously you have to qualify to become a detective in the homicide division of Metro.
We have a testing process.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where just because I asked to be on the homicide team doesn't mean I'm going to get on the homicide team unless I demonstrate qualifications to get there.
More or less, yes.
Yeah. Now, in terms of your training experience, though, fair to say it starts in the police academy as you're getting ready as a cadet before you become a full-fledged officer?
It's a police recruit, but yes.
Okay. And while you're in the academy, you learn skills that would help you become a successful police officer in our community. One of those things that you learn, of course, is how to write reports.
Yes, sir.
Officers' reports are a crucial tool that you would use in furtherance of your job as a police officer in Las Vegas.
Yes, sir.
With regards to police officers' reports, sometimes you don't have to write a report. I would assume, like for instance, if you pull someone for a traffic ticket and on the citation you could write some notes or something along those lines. That wouldn't require you to do a police report
That's correct.
or officer's report.
Yes.
All right, but in terms of when you're conducting an investigation, fair to say that typically a officer's report would be written?
Typically, yes.
Yes. Now, can you explain to the jury why an officer's report would be important in the furtherance of an investigation?
The officer's report primarily is for our own reflection to recall really all the steps that we took throughout the entirety of an investigation. So it's a document that we can refer back to without going to each and every document specifically.
Now, fair to say, though, that the officer's report also helps in the event that, say, for instance, you get promoted to become a sergeant and someone else takes over your caseload because you're no longer the detective, right?
Yes, sir.
They would look at that officer's report to help them get up to speed as to what your investigation was at the time you get promoted to become sergeant.
Correct.
Or lieutenant.
Yeah.
Or captain.
I'll never see that, but yes.
Well, I'm just hopeful.
Yeah.
Be hopeful. But with regards to your officer's report, for instance, when you are about ready to move on in the next phase of your career, for instance, those officer reports typically are prepared and completed upon your departure to whatever it is you're going to do next.
Most of the time, they try to get those done. Sometimes they're not.
Sure. Now, in terms of sometimes or not, can you tell us when is there an exception to the rule of when you do your officer's report after, say, for instance, when you retire?
Haven't retired yet. I don't know. Yeah, I'm sorry.
But fair to say, of course, if that in the event of an actual complete departure from the department, meaning you move on in your life doing something else, that those officers' reports should be completed prior to you departing the department.
I know the department would like them completed, but again, sometimes they're just not.
Yeah.
I've seen many cases where there's still open officers' reports with people who are no longer on.
Sure. And so with regard to those open officers' reports, fair enough, you know, they get created at some point in the future. How about like 1 year after they retire?
I don't know. Are you asking like would they or could they?
Well, have you ever seen an officer's report being filed a year after an officer retires from the department?
Authored by the original investigator? No. A lot of times, like there'll be either one of the guys from cold case that will kind of pick up a case
Right.
and finish that up, and so then that will be completed after the originating officer retired.
Okay. Well, what about 2 years after the main officer or detective in this case retires? Have you seen anyone actually, you know, finish up his officer's report 2 years after he retires?
And submit it still as an officer? No.
No. 3 years?
No.
And it's fair to say that there's common sense reasons for that, right? You want to make sure that your report is accurate, right?
Yes.
Because accuracy is important in what you do as a police officer.
Correct.
You want to make sure that your report is written in such a way, like you said before, someone could take that report and continue on with the investigation, who is still a detective.
Yes.
Okay. And also that report, in essence, becomes sort of a documentation of all the effort that that detective puts into the file, right?
Generally most of it, yes.
Yeah.
It might not have everything in it, but there's the vast majority typically goes in the officer's report.
Sure. Now, in this particular case, as you're sitting here right now, you work for the Metropolitan Police Department.
Yes, I do.
You work for the District Attorney's Office?
No, I didn't.
And the reason why you don't work for them is because they're two separate agencies, right?
They are.
They have two different purposes, correct?
Correct.
Your job as a police officer at Metro is to investigate and determine facts, fair?
Yes.
Now, at some point in the future, the District Attorney's Office Their job is to determine if they want to prosecute a case and actually litigate it like in front of this jury, right?
Yes, yes.
That's not your role. Your role is just to find the facts.
And present it to them, yes.
Present it to the district attorney's office.
Yes.
Okay. Now, they do have investigators that work for them,
Yes, sir.
right? But fair to say, those investigators are not doing what you're doing, right? Which is looking for facts.
Well, I object to looking for facts. And one calls for speculation.
What's your response?
I'm just asking for her experience as a detective as to how investigators fit into the overall picture of what we're talking about here. I don't believe it's speculation.
Can you rephrase it? Because I
Sure.
forgot the original question.
So with regards to your role and the experience you've had as a police officer, have you ever seen a Clark County District Attorney investigator be the primary person to put on an investigation?
Like as the lead investigator, no.
Yes, that's correct. So no, the answer is no.
Correct. Not in my experience.
And not in your experience. Now, in terms of what you're doing here, your testimony here was specifically about the search warrant and what happened when you located, whatever it is you located during the course of the search warrant, right?
Yes, sir.
So in the search warrant itself, did you apply for that search warrant?
No, I did not.
Now, typically, as a detective, when you're applying for a search warrant, you fill out an affidavit,
Yes, sir.
and at the end, you sign it, attesting it to be true and correct to the best of your ability.
Yes, sir.
And you detail in that search or that application for a search warrant, the location and what you intend on finding as a result of going into somebody's house.
Yes.
Okay. That would be the purview of whoever the lead detective is at that particular time.
Yeah, or who was just writing the search warrant. There's a lot of times people write search warrants and they're not lead detectives, but yes, I agree with what you're saying for the most part.
And in this case, Detective Mogg was the responsible detective to petition for that search warrant.
Yes, he was.
And he was the one who signed that affidavit.
Yes, he was.
Now, you were on scene as a detective to help him with that, with the execution of the search warrant.
Correct.
And it isn't just you and Detective Mogg, there's other people from Metro that's present as well.
Yes, sir.
Other detectives as well.
Yes, sir.
As well as the crime scene analysts that we have on scene.
Yes.
And they're all looking for information.
Correct.
Now, the information that you're looking for is based upon my client's residence, right, Mr. Davis' residence.
For that search warrant, yes.
And you are looking for evidence that would take you back 30 years to whether or not that person was involved in the murder of Tupac Shakur.
Yes.
Okay. So the information that we've received here today is the fruits of your labor from that search warrant.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, in addition to that, there were numerous different electronic devices that were taken from the scene.
Yes.
Now, are you aware that one of the intents or one of the focuses of the search was to look for evidence or facts specifically about the writing of a book?
Yes.
Okay, meaning the book that you had shown to the jury, that particular book, there was a search or at least an intent to look for evidence that would help support whether Mr. Davis had a manuscript.
I don't think I reviewed a book up here when I was being shown the evidence. I know the book that you're referring to.
Right, and I'm just showing you, once again, if I could have
Show my version, I might.
I have it. Showing you what's been marked and admitted as State's Exhibit 104, this document or this book right here.
Yes.
Okay, so this book was the one of the focuses of the search.
Yes.
And in the application for the search warrant, fair to say that as a detective, you would read the parameters in which Mr. or Detective Mogg at the time had requested in terms of the purpose of the search.
He would have documented that in there, yes.
Yeah. And for instance, would a review of the application and affidavit of search warrant help refresh the recollection as to what Detective Mogg had requested from a court to allow him to search for?
I actually have not read the full document before.
Oh.
I can review it if you'd like. But yeah, I up to this point have not read the full document.
Okay. So you're saying, though, that the person that could best tell this jury what he applied for would be Detective Mock?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Now, in addition to that, looking at the state's exhibit number 104, the name that's on top over here, did this name have any significance to you in participating in the search warrant in this case?
Yes.
What significance does this name have to you?
We knew that was Duane Davis's nickname or street name.
Is that correctly spelled?
I don't know.
Yeah, and then with regards to this person right here, do you know who this person was?
Yes, I do now.
Who is that person?
Yosef Yah.
Now, with regards to Yosef Bell, can you tell the jury a little bit about who he is?
He was the to my understanding, he's the co-author of the book.
Okay. Now, you had a chance at some point to speak with Mr. Yah.
Yes, sir.
And just for my recollection, do you recall when you spoke to him?
It was on about Memorial Day of this year.
So 2026?
Yes, sir.
Memorial Day. Do you recall when the grand jury occurred with regards to this case?
In 2023.
All right. And so explain a little bit to the jury what a grand jury is.
It's a jury that have been assimilated here at the Clark County Regional Justice Center. They hear cases, then they determine if there is sufficient cause to issue an indictment on the accused.
And typically that would be something, if you were the primary detective, you would have been involved in this particular one, but you were not.
That's correct.
Okay. That would be something that Detective Mogg would be responsible for.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, in addition to that, with regards to Yusuf, we had read off a bunch of names the state had, and I want to make sure I'm clear here. Was his name read off as one of the names that they had issued some type of warrant or something for in this case?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay, so you interviewed Yusuf about May of this year. He's on the book cover, but you don't ask the court for a warrant for his arrest in California,
No, I did not.
or some type of notice in California, hey, you need to show up to court.
No, we did not.
Okay. And did you ever at any point go down after your meeting with Yusuf to knock on his door again and say, hey, Yusuf, can you please come to Nevada based upon our interview or discussion?
No, I did not.
Now, in addition to that, when you went down to speak to Yusuf, at that particular time, you're with Clifford Mogg, right?
That's correct.
Now, at that particular point, Clifford Mogg is not a detective at Metro.
Correct.
He had been retired at that point how many years?
2.5, maybe?
Okay. And so you accompanied him down to California to do that interview with Yusuf?
With several people, yes.
Okay. But you're going down as a police officer with the Metropolitan Police Department at that particular point?
Yes.
But not Clifford Mogg. He's not a police officer at that point.
Correct, he was not.
He is an investigator with the Clark County District Attorney's Office.
Yes, sir.
Now, based upon that particular interview, did you conduct that interview?
No, primarily Detective Mogg did, or Investigator Mogg did.
Sure. And after that interview, did you draft an officer's report documenting what you learned in the course of that interview?
No, I did not.
That would be something that Detective Mogg or Mr. Mogg would have done?
Sometimes we don't write an officer's report just for like an interview synopsis. We'll typically get those transcribed.
Okay. Now, in this case, for instance, the officer's report are pretty important, right?
Yes.
And we talked a little bit about going to the evidence locker, and we were all present at the evidence locker, right?
Yes, sir.
It's my assistant, the guilty looking one over there with the glasses, myself, and my investigator, as well as Mr. DiGiacomo, Mr. Renew, Clifford Mogg, and yourself.
And my sergeant, Igor DeCaro.
Yeah. Now, after that particular incident, you wrote an officer report, right?
That one I did, yes.
Right. Once again, it's important to document what happens on a given event.
Correct.
Okay. Now, in this particular regard, did you at any point of your participation in this case, in that submission of that report, ever view a officer's report from Clifford Mogg?
No, I have not reviewed an officer's report from him.
Are you aware that Clifford Mogg began his responsibilities as the main detective on this case in either 2017 or 18.
My understanding, yes, that's correct.
And he had been the investigator from that time period, and we'll just give him benefit of the doubt, 2018, all the way up to 2023 when he retired.
Correct.
But as of right now, as you sit here, you've never read an officer's report from Detective Mom in between that time period?
Pertaining to this investigation, no.
No. Now, in addition to that, there was some discussion about people. Was there ever a compelling order or a warrant issued for Suge Knight in this case?
Not to my knowledge, or if there was, I didn't have a role in that.
Right, and fair to say you know exactly where Suge Knight is today.
Yes,
He's actually in custody.
correct.
Okay. Did you ever at any point issue a compelling order or a warrant for Foxy Brown?
I did not.
Okay. Do you know who she is?
I don't.
Okay. That would have been something that maybe Mr. Monk would know of.
Yes.
Okay. How about for an individual named Big Meech from Detroit?
I don't know who that is.
Once again,
I
that-
have not issued a, yes.
So
And the
that-
same answer that Detective Mogg would be, he would have more knowledge on that.
Now, the articles that we took a look at here that the jury was introduced to, do you know any reason, besides the fact that they were taken from my client's house, do you know who put those articles together?
I do not.
Do you know the purpose of those articles?
I do not.
Okay. Now, fair to say, in the course and scope of your investigation as a detective now, one of the things that you would look for if you were looking at a suspect would be through their phone. Right?
In today's age, yes.
Yeah. And one of the things you look for either on their phone or on their computers would be maybe search history.
Yes.
And what you're looking for is if a person is Googling an address and Googling up a shooting that took place on the corner of Charleston and, I don't know, Wallaby, and they're doing it over and over again, that would lend some issue as to why you're looking up the details of a shooting that, say, nobody knows, right?
Yes.
And that would help you determine whether that person has knowledge of a shooting that pretty much nobody else would know.
I can't say nobody else would know, but they would show that they do have knowledge of the incident occurring.
Right. Now, in terms of those articles, though, can you say that that's what that was for?
I cannot.
Now, in addition to that, in your experience, we had spoken a little bit about this folder here. I'm going to show you again for the jury. This is State's Exhibit 37. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. 137. Do you remember this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I just want to make sure I'm not colorblind, but is this blue?
No, sir.
Yeah. There looks like there might be like a candy cane on top of it,
That's correct.
and something else that's there. It looks like a little snowman or something like that. Do you know what the purpose of this folder was?
No, other than it being just like a scrapbook type.
But nothing else besides that?
I don't know any other relevance to that.
Okay, and just for the record, it's got green in here as well. It looks like a pretty festive notebook or
Yes.
folder.
Yes.
Okay. Now, in your one of the things that you had shared with us as well is the search warrant in this case that was found on scene. This would have been this would be State's Exhibit 136. You recall looking at this particular document here?
Yes, I do.
In terms of this document, this is a document that looks like this occurred back in May of 1997.
Correct.
And this obviously was in a different state. This is California.
Yes, sir.
And this was a search warrant of what looks like to be a house that would have been attributed to my client.
I'm not sure who it is, who resided there then. I know the address is there, the California.
Yeah, it would be the California address that's on the next page, right?
Yes.
I just don't want to mention it. But let's turn to the last page here. One of the things that was made mention by the state, and just pointing the jury to the receipt of property taken, that's like our property return,
Yes.
or search warrant return. Okay.
That's correct.
And in it, it identifies various different things that was taken from that particular residence.
Yes, sir.
Now, one of the things that's in here, for instance, is this line number 4, money due bill for the Monte Carlo Casino. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
Do you have that?
No, I do not.
Was there any copy of that in the house that you searched in 2023?
Not that we found.
And with regards to that particular description there, can you tell us, for instance, just by the description alone, when that money due bill was dated?
I don't know from that description. We just know when the search warrant was issued, so I would assume previous to that
Right.
issue date.
Right, but we don't know an exact date.
Correct.
And the other things that are on here, for instance, the 9 miscellaneous photographs, all these things are things that another detective wrote down in the course and scope of their investigation.
Yes.
Okay. Now, in addition to that, when you were in Mr. Davis's home, you had identified, or there were various different electronic devices that were seized.
Yes.
Okay. Now, with regard to those electronic devices, there were quite a few.
Yes.
Those electronic devices, and I just want to make sure I'm clear here, you had taken a Dell Inspiron 1764 laptop computer.
Yes, sir.
Did you ever at any point cause that computer to be reviewed for information that would help you lead to whether or not Mr. Davis wrote that book or helped write that book?
I did not.
Okay. And just for the jury's edification, let's make sure we're clear. When you're reviewing an electronic device like that, you are looking for files, search history, things that would help you see whether or not Mr. Davis used that particular machine to help write the book, for instance, in this case.
In theory, yes, somebody would do that.
Right. And you also took from the residence a Toshiba laptop computer.
Yes.
Did you find any information that would help you know or learn whether or not Mr. Davis actually wrote Contra Street Legend or anything like that?
I did not write a search warrant to get into the digital items, so I've never reviewed anything from the electronics.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I'm clear. That would have been Clifford Mog's job, not your job.
Yes.
Because at the time, he was the detective responsible for this investigation.
Correct.
Now, but I just want to make sure we're clear for the jury. The other items that were seized at that point that you were at least part of the seizure would have been a Toshiba satellite laptop computer. So that's 3 computers. Another laptop computer, HP G171 laptop computer, an HP touchscreen desktop computer, an iPad, another iPad, and a Sky Device tablet. Those were the things that were taken from the residence, right?
That sounds accurate, yes.
And just stop me if you think I'm wrong, if you need to look at something, all right?
Okay.
In addition to that, it looks like there was some drives that were taken as well, a Toshiba external drive, a USB drive, and an iPad with a broken screen, and an iPhone in a black case.
Yes.
Okay. And those were all the fruits of your search of Mr. Davis's residence when you went there.
Yes, sir.
And once again, whatever was found inside of those objects would be something that would be Detective Mog's responsibility to tell this jury, not you.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Mrs. Detective Gaddis, I'm done with my cross-examination of you.
Okay.
I appreciate your answers today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sam. Mr. Chuck will redirect.
Detective Gaddis, Mr. Sam said we're 2 separate agencies. That's accurate, correct?
Yes, sir.
How often, let me ask you this, do you work very closely with the DA's office?
Yes, I do.
What is the soonest you've called the DA after you've shown up to a crime scene?
Oh, within an hour. Absolutely.
And are we, as the prosecutors, involved in the investigation from the beginning?
Yes, sir.
Or were you aware that prior to the search warrant, or are you aware if prior to the search warrant, Mr. Palal and I were already involved in this investigation?
Yes, you were.
And were you aware the determination or the decision that was made as it relates to Mr. Detective Mogg, remaining the investigator on this case?
I don't know how those decisions were made.
Let me ask it this way. Are you aware that that decision was made the day he retired?
Yes, yes.
And your role and Sergeant DeCaro's role is if we needed a Metro police officer, you were supposed to assist.
Correct.
And do you have any active cases where the reports are not done?
Yes, sir.
And usually the report is done when all of the work is done.
Correct.
And so that's completed when you're done investigating.
Correct.
Mr. Sanft also mentioned something about the fact that your job is to find the facts. Do you remember him saying something like that?
Yes.
Is your job and our job any different than that we're here to uncover facts?
We have the same mission. Do it in different ways, but yes, the same mission.
And are you aware that my investigators oftentimes interview witnesses?
Yes.
And that's not something that's unusual.
No.
Is there anything that you feel was improper with the idea of Detective Mogg becoming my contract investigator on this particular case?
Objection, Your Honor, is the opinion. I'm not quite clear what the relevance of that question is.
Well, his entire cross was, hey, this is really odd, this is really unusual, there's something wrong here by Detective Mogg becoming Mr. Mogg and continuing the investigation. So I'm asking her, in her experience, is there anything inappropriate about that?
I don't know how her experience is relevant. Yep.
He opened the door by asking her those questions.
Overruled.
I would say Detective Mogg would have been the best fit to do it because he had the most intelligence and knowledge of the investigation.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Anything further, Mr. Sant?
Yes, Your Honor. Since we walked through this door, so with regards to Detective Mogg in this case, he was the best fit for this investigation?
He had the most knowledge of it, yes.
He had the most knowledge of it because he did not write an officer's report. Fair?
Objection assumes a fact, not an evidence.
Can you approach? All right, it's overruled. You may ask your question.
And I just forgot the question, so let me back it up real quick here. So you're telling us, though, that he was the best for the job?
Yes.
Okay. And that at the time of his retirement, 2023, he was the best for the job?
He had the most knowledge of it, yes.
Yes, and he had the most knowledge of it because he was the primary detective on the case?
For the preceding several years, yes.
Yes. And when he retired, he did not have an officer's report?
I don't know if he did or didn't.
Well, I'm just based upon your knowledge, you're saying you don't know.
Yeah, and I've never actually read it. I don't know if he did.
So you don't know if he had an officer's report.
Correct.
And you say he was the best for the case, even though technically there were other detectives on your unit that could have taken over that case.
There are additional detectives, absolutely, yes.
And are you saying that somehow Detective Mogg had something different compared to all?
Because he had those 4 or 5 years of experience already invested into the case. So for him to kind of finish it out and to see it through, to me, that made the most sense, in my opinion.
But without capturing it, putting it down on an officer's report?
Well, objection. She just answered she doesn't know if there is one.
Let me ask you this
Sustained.
question. I'll withdraw the question. In terms of, as we sit here right now, there was a cold case unit, right?
Yes, we do. We have a
And
cold case.
The cold case unit would investigate crimes that occurred, like say, for instance, in this case, 30 years ago.
Yes, they do.
And they could have very easily taken this file as well, right?
So from my understanding, when Detective Mogg obtained this case, we did not have a cold case unit in our section at that time. That didn't come into play until maybe 2020 that we were able to fulfill a cold case detectives.
Okay. And so, in terms of the way you're describing it now, are you saying that Detective Mogg was operating a cold case?
No, he was on an active squad for the entirety of his time in the homicide section. But when he received this case from the preceding detectives, we didn't have a cold case unit for them to have investigated it. So basically, any of the cold cases came down to the next person in line, more or less, and that happened to be Detective Mogg.
All right. And in terms of the Detective Mogg situation, are you telling us, though, that he was hired by Metro as an investigator doing cold cases?
No, he was a detective with Metro, employed as a commissioned officer. He wasn't hired by Metro separately to do cold cases.
And I apologize for that. Let me just back up here. So, are you aware of an officer, retired officer by the name of Dean O'Kelly?
Yes, sir.
And he, at some point, worked on cold cases.
Yes, he did.
And he worked on cold cases after he retired.
Correct.
And prior to that, he was actually a homicide detective.
Yes, sir.
So, and I apologize, maybe I wasn't clear on my question. But are you telling us that that's what Detective Mogg did in this case? That after he retired, he became an investigator, just like Dean O'Kelly, on cold cases?
Detective Mogg did not do that with Metro.
And once again, as you're sitting here right now, you don't know of any officer's report up until the time he retires.
That's correct.
Are you aware of any other reports that he wrote after he retired in this case?
No, sir.
Are you, and once again, any reports at all that would be put in the file to help the next detective with the investigation, anything like that?
I'm not aware of them.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Anything further, Mr. DiGiacomo?
No.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, any questions for this witness? Seeing no hands, thank you, Detective Gaddis. You're free to go.
Thank you.
Does it make sense to break for lunch at this time?
We have one short witness, but maybe we could do a restroom break and then break for lunch.
Does anyone in the jury have to use the restroom? Yes? Okay. All right. So we will take a break. During the recess, you're admonished not to talk or converse amongst yourselves or with anyone else on any subject connected to the trial, or read, watch, or listen to any recorded or commentary on the trial of any person connected with this case by any medium of information, including without limitation, newspaper, television, internet, and radio, or from which express any opinion on any subject connected with the trial until the case is submitted to you. We'll have you guys back here at 11:40. Please rise for the jury. For the record, the jury has exited the room. We'll be in recess. Back on record in C377407. Over the break, one of our jurors let Marshal Spies know that it was juror 5, Sydney Stratton, let the marshal know that she knows Mr. Scott, who was the CSA who testified. I don't know any more information about that. I was just going to have her come out and ask her some questions about that relationship, see if it would affect her ability to be fair and impartial, and then if you guys have any questions about it, just I'll give you that opportunity as well.
Yes, right.
Okay, can we get Ms. Stratton in? Randy? No? You- Okay. For the record, Ms. Stratton has exited the room. You may be seated. Anything else we need to discuss on that issue?
Not from the state.
No, you're not.
Anything we need to discuss outside the presence?
Not from the state.
No, you're not.
All right, we'll get the jurors lined up. And who is the witness that we're going to do next?
Mark Hat.
Mark Hat.
Yeah, he's a firearms person,
Okay.
so he should be short.
All right, then as soon as we get the jury in, we'll proceed with that one short witness, and then we'll take our lunch break. You had said there were 6 witnesses you wanted to get on, and we've done 5?
and then one in the afternoon.
So the 6th is in the afternoon.
Yes.
Understood. Okay.
We believe we should take most, if not all, of that.
Okay, no worries.
Maybe not. I mean, we could talk all day.
Staff, jury.
So the parties stipulate to the presence of the jury.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you may be seated. All right, state you may call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Steve calls Mark Hatton.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
You may have a seat.
Thank you.
Sir, if you please state your full name and then spell it for the record.
Mark Hatton, MarkHatten.
Thank you, sir. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Paul.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Hatton, how are you employed?
I'm currently a police officer with Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. I was hired in 2007. I also worked as a NIBIN technician within the firearms unit of the forensic laboratory at the Metro Forensic Lab for 7 years, from 2018 until 2025.
Can you tell us what NIBIN is?
Yes, NIBIN stands for the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network. It's a program that's overseen by the federal agency, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, otherwise known as the ATF. And this is a technology that contains hardware and software that takes high-resolution 2D and 3D images of a cartridge case that has been fired, or a cartridge, excuse me, that has been fired out of the firearm. It looks specifically at the head stamp area, and I also brought a model with me of a cartridge if the court will allow me to use this, and I could also pass this around to the jury so you can get a closer look and see exactly and understand what NIBIN is looking at.
Mr. Hatton, you're getting a little ahead of me, but let's go. No, it's fine. I was going to ask you, what is a cartridge case?
Cartridge case, it's what this is called is a cartridge, and once it's fired, the bullet gets projected out of the barrel, and the cartridge case gets ejected from the firearm, and basically it contains all the components of a cartridge, including the bullet, the cartridge case. Can I use
Yes,
them?
and so it appears you brought a demonstrative. Your Honor, may
Yes.
the witness use the demonstrative for the purposes of explaining it to the jury.
Is it the two? Yeah. Okay. Yes, you may.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so during the firing process, when somebody pulls the trigger, this bullet will project out of the barrel, and this is the cartridge case. This is the head stamp area. It can be stamped with the manufacturer of the ammunition as well as the caliber, and this is the what NIBIN looks at, specifically the primer area, which contains a small explosive that ignites the gunpowder within the cartridge case.
And then on the back of the cartridge, you had mentioned that, or the cartridge case, you had mentioned that the strike that causes the explosion to expunge the bullet, is that strike unique or something that you look at in determining whether or not a cartridge has been fired from a similar, the same gun?
Yes, it's unique because during the manufacturing process of the firearm, it has tooling marks and it's hardened steel. This metal is soft So this comes out at very high velocity, so when that slams into the firearm, it imparts its unique markings from that tooling process directly onto the cartridge case.
Now, I'm going to direct your attention to case number 960907-2063, where you asked to do some work on that case.
Yes, I was.
And is it fair to say that, and the jury's already heard this and they've been received in evidence, that 7 cartridge cases with a head stamp of 140 S&W were recovered from that scene?
That's correct.
And then initially, when this case first occurred in 1996, they were run through the database that existed in 1996. Is that fair to say?
Not in 1996, it was in 2003, because NIBIN was not created. It was a program called DrugFire, and NIBIN actually was implemented in 1997, but of course it takes time to build up the database, so it really wasn't the database wasn't built up until about the early 2000s. So that's when they actually initially entered this cartridge case into the NIBIN system.
So in 1996, it was DrugFire, and then in 2003, it was re-entered into NIBIN. Is that fair to say?
I don't have any knowledge if this was entered into DrugFire.
So we'll focus on 2003, the NIBIN entry. Did the cartridges used in this particular cartridge cases collected in this case match any other cartridge cases that were entered into NIBIN back in 2003?
They did not.
Did they match any other firearm that was recovered by 2003?
They did not.
Now, in 2023, were you asked to re-enter these cartridge cases or re-examine them within the NIBIN system?
Yes, I was.
And that request, I think, was made by Mark DiGiacomo.
Yes, it was.
And had technology changed between 2003 and 2023?
Yes, so that 20-year period, yes, the cameras and the resolution has definitely improved over the 20-year time frame.
And is it also fair to say that probably in the intervening 20 years, more cartridge cases and more firearms have been entered into the NIBIN system?
Yes, it's the gold standard of that type of ballistics. So everybody uses it now, and yes, there's millions of images in the database.
And did you actually conduct the? Did you actually look into NIBIN to see whether or not this cartridge case matched any other cartridge case that was entered into NIBIN?
Yes, I entered it into NIBIN myself, and we did a nationwide search, and it looked throughout the entire country, and then the NIBIN results had no associations other to the original entry from 2003.
So what you learned from NIBIN is when you entered the cartridge in 2003, it matched the cartridge you entered in 2023.
That's correct.
But nationwide, it did not match any other cartridge case that had been previously entered into NIBIN.
No, it did not.
Any, sorry, cross-examination, Mr. Sir?
Sir, did you actually look at the actual cartridge casings themselves?
Yes, I looked all 7 side by side, and I screened them and then grouped them into one grouping, which represents one firearm.
All right. And as far as you recall or understand that the cartridge casings were located at one scene, not multiple scenes?
I didn't look into the case notes. That's to try to keep our distance. We don't do any investigative work at the lab, so we don't want to bias our mind to what was. So I did not review any of the crime scene photos, any of the diagrams. I do not know. All I know is I have 7 cartridge cases. How do they group, and which ones to enter?
Okay. And so out of the 7, all of them look like they were fired from the same firearm?
Yes, they had similar visual characteristics, and I entered one, which I assigned as lab item 1.
I see. So no one of them was different, like indicating maybe another gun was used. All of them were from the same gun.
That's correct.
No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything further, State?
No, Your Honor.
Any questions from our jurors? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Hatton. You are free to go. You are
Thank you, Your Honor.
excused. That was our short witness before the lunch break?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sounds good. So at this time, we are going to take our lunch break. During this recess, you are admonished not to talk or converse amongst yourselves or with anyone else on any subject connected to the trial, or read, watch, or listen to any report or commentary on the trial of any person connected with this case by any medium of information, including without limitation, newspaper, television, internet, and radio, or form or express any opinion on any subject connected with the trial until the case is submitted to you. We'll have you guys back here at 1 p.m. for further testimony. Please rise for the jury. For the record, the jury has exited the room. Anything we need to address outside the presence?
Yeah, yes, Your Honor. So we're going to have Robert Ladd testify whenever we come back in.
Okay, you can all be
And-
seated.
And there was this outstanding issue during our gang motion about the term shot caller. Now, in the interim, we found that Mr. Davis refers to himself as the shot caller in the book. I don't know that that was pointed out. I had not realized that at the time of that motion, so I certainly failed to point that out. But at this point, the state's going to be asking that we allow Mr. Ladd to use that term. When I pre-trialed him last night, I told him he is not allowed to use it unless the court gives a go-ahead, so he's aware of that prohibition. But I
Was
think
the idea that he was going to be the one to lay the foundation, that he was the shot caller, that
Yes.
allegedly Keffe D
Yes.
was the shot caller?
Yes.
So we can use that term and attempt to lay the foundation, and then I guess we can just, at some point, you can approach and say, has that been conclusively established or something?
okay, so I just want to know the mechanism. So I'm not going to have him say it at all, and then I will try and lay the general gang foundation, and then I'll lie the foundation for Mr. Davis's role within the gang, and at that point, I'll probably just ask to approach out of an abundance of caution, and then see if the foundation's involved.
Does that work for you, Mr. Stamps?
It does, Your Honor. I did have one for the housekeeping matter for the shot caller issue.
Yes.
Okay.
The other issue is that we're asking the court to see if we could just exclude putting on the record or publishing to everybody the addresses of my clients in terms of where his family still lives today in Compton. So if we're going to talk about a location, that we just use maybe the street name, something like that, to differentiate between the two.
I think that's appropriate. For the, not to give the exact address.
So can we?
You
So
can say like
without
the
giving
3600 block,
Can
maybe?
we, I think it's a little complicated because there's a 1405 and a there's two houses on the same block. And so I think if Mr. Sam doesn't object to us just saying that on the search warrants it's listed as Mr. Davis's house without giving the actual address, or Mr. Anderson's or Miss Anderson's house without giving the actual address, I'm happy to do that. Like, I'm not trying to cause any problems. It's just that
Would
I don't want the vagary used against us.
Sure. Would that compromise work for your purposes?
Yes, Your Honor, because I think that's all we're asking, is just just refer to who the house is.
The exhibits themselves that will be admitted list the actual address, but we won't display those portions of the exhibits publicly, if that helps.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Yes.
Sounds good. Okay.
Okay.
Anything else on that thing, Mr. Stamps?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Anything else we need to address in general?
No.
Hearing nothing, we'll be in recess. Thanks, guys.
When are we coming back to
1 o'clock. Record. We're on record in State versus Davis, C-377-407. Anything that we need to address outside the presence of the jurors?
Not from the state.
Okay. And we have Mr. Ladd
Yes.
ready to go?
Yes.
Okay, we don't have to delay for him? Perfect. All right, we'll get the jurors lined up and we'll bring them right, they are lined up? Okay, perfect. And just so I'm aware, 1 o'clock tomorrow is the plan?
Yes. 1 o'clock tomorrow. I think this is our last witness for today. I don't know how long it's going to take, but
Okay. So once I have them recess after this witness, we'll tell them to come back at 1 p.m. tomorrow.
Correct.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good.
And are we still starting noon on Thursday?
That's the idea. If you guys are ready at that time, so you guys can talk about it and let me know.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect.
Stand for the jury.
So the party stipulated to the presence of the jury.
This one. All right.
Okay, you may all be seated. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you liked lunch. We are still in the state's case in chief. Mr. Palal, you're standing up, so I assume you're calling your next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. State calls Robert Ladd.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I did.
You may be seated. May I please have you state and spell your first and last name for the record?
Robert Ladd, R-O-B-E-R-T-L-A-D-D.
You may proceed, Mr. Palal.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Mr. Ladd.
How you doing, sir?
Sir, can you tell us a little bit about your employment?
Yes, I'm retired now, but I was a police officer for 32 years.
Where did you start your career?
I started in 1983 when I was hired by the city of Compton,
And what was your initial position with the city of Compton?
a patrol officer.
And then did you change positions at some point?
Yes, when I was a patrol officer for several years, and that really was my beginning introduction into the world of the Crips and Bloods, because most of the radio calls that we got in Compton revolved around gang activity. So I got to learn there, the way they dressed, their territories, how to read graffiti, and then in 1988 I was promoted to the gang unit.
And for our edification, how big is Compton?
Compton's a 10 square mile city. It had a population of 100,000 people, and we had 55 active gangs in this little 10 square mile city.
And is it fair to say that most of the gangs were affiliated either with the Crips or Blood or Mob and various subsets of those types of groups?
Yes, it was basically Crips, Pyrus, and Hispanic gangs.
Okay.
Mr. Palal, you've reminded me that this may be a good time to read the Tavares instruction.
You're right.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are going to hear testimony regarding drug trafficking, conspiracy, federal convictions, as well as gang affiliation. These are not offered to show the defendant's propensity to commit crime or any other improper purpose, and you may not consider it for those purposes. It is only offered to establish the credibility of his prior statement, the statements made by defendant, motive, and identity. You may proceed, Mr. Paul.
Thank you, Your Honor. All right, and then tell us a little bit about your career in terms of, you said in 1983 you became a patrol officer and you were patrolling Compton, which had you responding to a lot of gang-related calls. Is that fair to say?
That's correct.
And then you ultimately go to the gang unit, is that correct?
Yes.
And were you assigned a partner?
Yes, my partner was Tim Brennan.
And then who was the lieutenant in charge of the gang unit at that time?
Lieutenant Reggie Wright Sr.
During your time as a gang detective, did you also respond to a lot of gang activity in Compton?
Yes, when I got into the gang unit in 1988, Compton was a very violent city. We were averaging 70 to 80 homicides a year and hundreds of shootings. So my responsibilities now were to investigate all gang-related crimes, gather intelligence, and photograph and identify gang members. And I also went out on a daily basis and tried to contact gang members and talk to them when I arrested them. And also I tried to talk to them out in the field so I could kind of build a rapport with these gang members out there.
Okay, so you'll have to forgive me, but when I think of a officer or detective rolling through Compton and trying to start a conversation with a gang member, it seems weird to me that the gang member would want to interact with you at all. Like, how did you develop that rapport?
Well, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes several years. You just gotta treat them fair, and you have to talk to them like you'd want to be talked to. And we didn't sweat them on the small stuff. We let patrol kind of do that. For instance, if they were out there just drinking some beer or smoking some marijuana or whatever, we'd come up and we'd talk to them and say, man, we're not going to sweat you on that stuff. And so over time they say, all right, this guy's pretty cool, we'll talk to him.
And then your partner, Tim Brennan, he ultimately was given a nickname Blondie, is that right?
Yes, DJ Quick wrote an underground song about it, and it was called Blondie. So everybody in the Compton knew my partner as Blondie. He kind of became famous over it.
Can you tell me a little bit about any type of gang training that you've given as somebody who has dealt with Bloods and Crips in Compton specifically?
Yes, it was from 2001 to about 2010 that my partner Tim and I, we taught at many national seminars right here in Vegas and in California also. And this is where thousands of police officers come from all over the country as well as around the world to learn about the Crips and Bloods. And so we taught them about that.
You had mentioned that in a city as small as 100,000 people, you would have somewhere between 50 to 60 or more homicides a year and then additional hundreds of shootings. Can you tell us a little bit about that, about the volume of these types of cases? Were they mostly gang-related shootings and homicides?
Most of them were, yes. And in 1993, I was promoted to gang homicide detective and started handling all the gang homicides too. And I did this till the year 2000. And so I spent 12 straight years in the gang unit. And during that time, I handled hundreds of homicide cases and thousands of shootings. And I actually talked to thousands of gang members, and I got to know really the way they talk, the way they think, the way they act, basically their overall mentality about gang life in general.
I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the difficulties associated with investigating gang cases. As somebody who did hundreds of investigations and homicides and thousands of shootings, did gang cases in particular present investigatory problems?
Absolutely. Gang cases they're the hardest to solve, especially in Compton because there's a code out in the street where you're not supposed to talk to the police, you're not supposed to go to court, or you get labeled a snitch. And the other problems that we have is that the good citizens that actually see what happened and want to come forward, they're afraid to. They get intimidated by these gangsters, and so they're really hard. We really don't have any witnesses, so we kind of rely on a lot of informants to get our information out there in the streets.
And then you mentioned relying on informants, but is it fair to say that if somebody wants to, if the case needs to be prosecuted or brought to court, somebody can't remain a confidential, reliable informant? They actually have to reveal who they are.
That's true.
And as part of your investigating homicides and shootings, was that a problem to get people to come forward and testify as opposed to giving you information on background?
Yes, it's very difficult because when they come to court, if you can get them to come to court, they don't want to get involved. They don't want to say anything, so they're not cooperating.
And you said being labeled a snitch was something that was frowned upon. In your training and experience, were there any other types of consequences for people who are labeled snitches in Compton, California, in gang life?
Absolutely. These guys take the code very seriously, and if you get labeled a snitch, it's probably the worst thing that can happen to you as a gang member. You're probably going to have to leave the state if you want to get, if you don't want to get severely beaten down all the way up to getting murdered. So they take it very seriously.
Now, I'm going to ask you now about a gang in particular. I'm going to ask you about, I'm going to ask you about the Southside Compton Crips. During your time in Compton, California, were you familiar with the Southside Compton Crips?
Yes, sir.
And can you tell us a little bit about the Southside Compton Crips?
Yes, the Southside Crips, they're located in the southeast portion of our city, and they're one of our larger gangs. It's probably a half mile in every direction. There was an excess of 100 documented active gang members at the time, and they identified themselves by wearing the color blue. So when you contacted a Southside Crip member, he's going to have something blue on, a blue shoestrings, a blue rag, anything blue identifies him with being a Crip gang member. And also the Southside Crip members adopted the Seattle Mariners baseball cap. It's a blue cap, it had an S on it, and to them the S stood for Southside Crips.
Now, I'm going to direct your attention to specifically the mid-90s, 1995, 1996. Were you familiar with somebody by the name of Duane Davis?
Yes.
Were you aware, was he somebody that was a high-ranking person in that gang or a low-ranking person in that gang?
Well, as high as you can get, yeah.
Now, what are the different levels of gangsters in Southside, or just general gangs? Are there different levels?
Yes, there's definitely a hierarchy within the black gangs in Compton. There's really 3 phases that these guys go through. The first phase is the BG, or baby gangster phase. And this is the time when they're just joining a gang, and usually, most of the time, not all the time, they get jumped in. And by getting jumped in, you have to show how tough you are. So it probably lasts about a minute, maybe 2 minutes, where 5, 6, 7 gang members are going to try to beat this guy up, and he's got to fight with them to show how tough he is. And if he passes, he gets to join the gang. And these are the ages between 12, 13 to 15 and 16. And this is the beginning stages, so they're out there doing low-level crime, such as graffiti, selling drugs for the older gang members, and being lookouts.
And then is there a level above that?
Yeah, the next level we call the gangster phase, and that's from the ages from 15 to 16 to about 25 or 26. Now this is a stage where these guys do the most violence. They're the ones out there that are committing the drive-by shootings and murders and robberies and carjackings. What they're trying to do is they're trying to earn their stripes for the gang so they can get kind of respect within the gang. So this is the most violent time for these gangsters.
And then is there another level in the hierarchy?
Yes, the last level is ages 25 to 26 on up. And these are the guys that, a lot of them went to prison during their gangster phase, and a lot of them are getting older now, and they put in the work. They call it earning their stripes within the gang. They're getting their respect now. They're the older gangsters. And these guys become the leaders or shot callers of the gang. And they tell the younger officers what to do. And again, they take this very seriously. If the older OGs tell younger gangsters what to do, they do it without hesitation. If they don't, there's going to be severe consequences. I've seen all the way from severe beatdowns all the way up to murder.
Right. Now, in that hierarchy, so we have baby gangsters, just, what was the middle one called? Just gangsters?
Just gangsters.
Gangsters, and then like OGs. Did you happen to know in the mid-90s where Duane Davis stood in that hierarchy?
Yes, he was a shot caller.
Your Honor, when we approach?
You may.
All right, so you're saying that Mr. Davis was a shot caller within the Southside Compton Crips.
Absolutely, yes.
And what does that mean?
Well, he could tell the younger gangsters what to do, and if they don't listen, like I just said, there's going to be severe consequences. The younger gang members are supposed to do what they're told without hesitation.
Now, were you aware of whether or not Mr. Davis was a narcotics trafficker?
Yes, he was definitely a high-level narcotics dealer. Compton, we were a small city, and we didn't have the manpower or the resources to go after a major narcotics dealer like Mr. Davis. But during my time in the gang unit, we were approached by two different agencies, the FBI task force, really, the DEA and FBI task force, and they would come to us because they wanted information on Mr. Davis's fellow gang members who he hung around with. And basically they would tell us that he's trafficking narcotics across the United States all the way to the East Coast.
Now, I want to talk a little bit more about Mr. Davis. Would you see him sometimes in Compton?
Yes, many, many times I've seen Mr. Davis.
And can you, do you see him in the courtroom today?
Yes, I.
Can you please point him out and identify an article of clothing he's wearing?
Yeah, he's male black sitting at the end of the table wearing, it's either gray or black suit.
Your Honor, may the record reflect the identification of the defendant in this case?
It will.
All right, and how would Mr. Davis dress in normal, like, gangster attire, like you were talking about before, or would he dress differently?
No, in his later years after he became the leader, whenever I'd see him, he'd be nicely dressed. Have the brim hat on, and he wouldn't have anything gangster-like on. He was always well-dressed.
I'm going to ask you now about somebody by the name of Orlando Anderson. Were you familiar with Mr. Anderson?
Yes, I was very familiar with Mr. Anderson. I had many, many contacts with him.
Okay, and can you tell us how you first became aware of Mr. Anderson's involvement in gang activity, if such activity existed?
Yes, I guess you could say I was there for his initiation into the gang. My partner Tim Brennan and I, we were at a fast food restaurant getting something to eat, and we're in the drive-thru. And this particular restaurant was right adjacent to the Southside Crip territory. And there's an alley that runs just adjacent to it. So as we got our food, and we were driving out of the fast food restaurant, and all of a sudden we heard a barrage of shots. We can hear them hitting our car. I heard about 5 or 6 shots, right? So after the shots stopped, we looked at each other, jumped out of the car, made sure we were all right, and we ran to where the shots were coming from. And witnesses were pointing down the street, and I saw 3 male blacks running down towards a known gang hangout. So these guys ran in there. We called the troops. We subsequently arrested Orlando Anderson and 2 other people, and during their interviews they said that was part of their initiation. They didn't have to be jumped in if they tried to kill me and my partner. So they were automatically in the gang, and Orlando Anderson wasn't the shooter during this incident.
Was not.
Was not.
Okay. Now, were you familiar? Well, did Orlando Anderson, to your knowledge, have any relation to Duane Davis?
Yes, we found out that it was Orlando Anderson was Keffe's nephew. I'm sorry.
That's fine. And Keffe is what Mr. Davis went by.
Yeah, Keffe D.
Yeah, Keffe D. Is that kind of how you're used to referring to Mr.
Yes,
Davis?
I kind of know by their nicknames, really.
Okay. And then, were you also familiar with somebody by the name of Terrence Bubble Up Brown?
Yes, had many contacts with Mr. Brown. He was kind of an older gangster, call him a wobbler. I still considered him in the gangster phase, but he kind of was a little older too.
And I guess in the mid-'90s, what phase or what level would you say Orlando Anderson was?
Definitely gangster phase.
And then, did he go by any nicknames that you're aware of, Orlando Anderson?
Yes, Baby Lane.
And then, were you familiar with somebody by the name of DeAndre Smith?
Yes, DeAndre Smith, many contacts with him. Again, admitted to me, he's a Southside Crip member. His nickname was Big Dre.
Why was he called Big Dre?
Because he was a big man, and he was like 6'4", probably 300 pounds. He was a big guy.
Were you also familiar with a gang called Mob Piru?
Yes.
Can you tell us about Mob Piru?
Yes, they're a gang in the city of Compton, and they're located in the northeast portion of our city. Their gang used to be called the Looters Park Piru. That was their territory. In about 1975 or 76, a group of kids over there wanted to start their own gang and have their own territory, so they started at Mob Piru, which stands for Members of Bloods. Now, their area is probably a quarter mile in each direction, and there's probably 45 to 50 active gang members in this gang also, and they identified themselves by wearing the color red. So, and just like the Crips wore anything blue, the Pirus or Bloods wear everything red.
Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the flare-up between Mob Piru and Southside Crips, but even before any of the music or any of the particular 1990s issues that we're here to discuss, would it be fair to say that Mob Piru and Southside Crips were natural rivals?
Yes, the Bloods and Crips never got along since they originated way back in the early 70s. They're kind of like just natural enemies because one wears red and one wears blue.
Were you familiar with whether or not Mob Piru associated with any particular record label in the mid-'90s?
Yes, Death Row Records.
And do you know who ran Death Row Records at the time?
Yes, Suge Knight.
And were you familiar with Suge Knight prior to his ascension in Death Row Records?
Yeah, we had contact with him before, but not many, because he really wasn't a gang member. He didn't really hang out, but he grew up in that neighborhood.
I'm going to ask you about some of the people that you would associate with the Mob Piru. Earlier, I think now it's last week, we met with somebody named James McDonald. Are you familiar with James McDonald?
Yes, very.
Do you recall what his nickname was?
Yes, Mob James.
Now, would you go to the McDonald house in Mob Piru territory?
Yes, Mob James's house was kind of like the main hangout for the Mob Piru, Looters Park Piru. He had two younger brothers, Buntry and Timmy Rue. So this was the main hangout for the Mob Pirus, and we would go there. If you wanted to find a Mob Piru, that's the first place you'd look. So we had many run-ins at this Mob James house.
And were you familiar with somebody by the name of Trayvon Lane?
Yes.
And States Exhibit 60. Do you recognize the person depicted in States Exhibit 60?
Yes, that's Trayvon Lane. His nickname's Trey, and he's a member of the Mob Piru.
Are you familiar with somebody by the name of Roger Williams?
Yes, I am. His nickname is Neckbone, and he's also a member of the Mob Piru.
No, actually, I think I skipped something with Trayvon Lane. You had talked about the 3 levels of being a gangster. What level would you say Trayvon Lane was in the mid-90s?
Gangster.
So like the middle, most violent level.
Yes,
And then with in the mid-90s, what level was Roger Williams?
definitely gangster.
In the mid-90s, what level was Mob James McDonald?
I would consider him an OG.
And then in, you'd mentioned Buntry. Is that Alton McDonald?
Yes, it is.
And in the mid-90s, what level would you describe him?
Gangster.
And then are you, now in that neighborhood, same neighborhood, there was a person that lived there or grew up there named Reggie Wright Jr. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Were you familiar with Reggie Wright Jr.?
Very. Yes.
And when you say very, how are you familiar with Reggie Wright Jr.?
Oh, he used to work at the Compton Police Department. He was a jailer, and then he went to be a full-time police officer, I think, in around 1988. He was only there for like 5 years because he got injured and had to retire.
Now, I'm going to ask you something, I guess, culturally about gang life. How important is one's reputation in the gang world?
Very. It's these guys live for respect. That's how they live their lives.
And then, if somebody felt as though they were disrespected, what would you expect them to do?
They have to retaliate. If a gang member is disrespected, they have to retaliate, or they're considered a punk out in the streets. And if you get considered a punk out in the streets, you kind of lose your respect and credibility.
And what's the consequence of losing your respect and credibility in the streets?
Well, I mean, no, you're going to be nothing in that game, really.
And then, we talked about the hundreds of murders that you've investigated and the thousands of shootings you've investigated. Was retaliation, in your experience, ever a motive for those shootings or murders?
Yes. I've investigated like 1,000 crimes, and I would say 90% of them are because of disrespect. And so when you get disrespected as a gang member, you can expect some sort of retaliation.
Now, you had heard gathering intelligence about this Lakewood Mall incident. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
But you weren't there, were you?
No.
And just so we're all clear, Lakewood Mall, is that in Compton?
No, it's several miles out of Compton.
And so that wouldn't be something for you to investigate?
No.
But as a gang expert and a gang investigator, what to you is the significance of somebody trying to rip off a gang member's chain?
Well, it's definitely disrespect, especially the chain that they were trying to take at the Lakewood Mall. It was a highly prized medallion, and these guys wore it like a badge of honor. So them try to steal this chain and beat up this subject, it would be a major display of disrespect. So now this guy's got to go back to the Mob Piru and Death Row Records and tell them what happened. So the next time they see each other, it's going to be on site. As soon as they see each other, some confrontation is going to happen.
And you had said that we're talking about the chain. We're talking about that death row chain. Is that right?
Yes.
And you had mentioned that they were wearing it with great pride. By they, who are you talking about?
The entourage of Suge Knight, that's Trayvon Lane. Well, back in '95, Suge Knight gave these out as Christmas presents to his entourage, like just, Trayvon, Neckbone, Buntree. They gave one to Reggie Wright Jr. So not too many people had him at this time. So it was a prized possession to these guys.
Now, I'm going to take you forward to September 7th of 1996. You become aware of a shooting that occurs out here in Las Vegas, September 7th, 1996. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
How do you become aware of the shooting that occurred here on September 7th, 1996?
Well, I was at home, and I get a call from my boss, who's Reggie Wright Sr., and he tells me that, hey, Suge Knight and Tupac were just shot. Tupac's in critical condition, and get ready because it's coming back to Compton. He told me that they thought the Southside Crips were responsible for the shooting.
And so when he's telling you this, do you now have to have a response to this? Or why is he telling you specifically to get ready?
Because when you disrespect and shoot the biggest rap mogul on the planet and the biggest rap star on the planet, and he surrounds himself with the Mob Piru, then there's going to be some sort of retaliation. And all these guys were from Compton. So when they got back to Compton, we expected a war.
And was there a war?
There definitely was a war.
Can you tell us about that? So in the immediate aftermath of the Tupac Shakur shooting, did you notice an uptick in violence in Compton?
Yes, 2 days after Tupac was shot was our first shooting. One of the OGs was at a store on Alondra Boulevard in Compton, and he was shot in the back several times, and a 10-year-old little girl got caught in the crossfire, and she was hit, and she was in critical condition. And the guy that was shot was a Southside Crip member, and again, he was a shot caller for the Southside Crips. His name was Darnell Brim.
Okay, and we've heard Darnell Brim's name before here, but was Darnell Brim part of the same subgroup of the Southside Crips as Duane Davis?
No, he was a Southside Crip gang member like they all were, but there was two factions of it. There was a group called the Burrs Crew, which Mr. Davis ran, and then there was a Glencoe crew that Darnell Brim ran.
And is it fair to say that at some point there was a conflict between the two groups that caused the factionalization?
Yes, they used to be one big happy family, but there was a disagreement over drugs, or some drugs were stolen from one of the Burrs Crew members, and that's when they split apart. They start fighting with each other, and they split apart into two different factions.
Now, in your understanding of gang culture, would Mob Piru, if they're seeking retaliation, would they be discerning about which crew or which part of the Southside Compton Crips they were shooting at, or would it just be you find a Southside Crip and then you start shooting?
Yeah, they don't care. When they go hunting for somebody, they don't care which faction he's from. If he's a Southside Crip member, or they're going to go after him.
Now, certainly that wasn't the only shooting that occurred in the immediate aftermath of the Tupac Shakur shooting. Is that correct?
That's correct. We had 3 murders and 10 attempted murder drive-by shootings that happened within a 10-day period in Compton.
And is that when, and were those shootings going back and forth related to Mob Piru and Southside Crips?
Yes.
So, I mean, you had mentioned earlier, there's 53 or 50 plus gangs in this 10 square mile radius, but during this particular heightened sense of violence, what was happening was the shooting back and forth between Mob Piru and Southside Crips.
Yes, but basically what it told me as a gang investigator right after the first shooting of Darnell Brim, to me, there was no doubt in my mind that the Southside Crips were responsible because the Mob Piru had to retaliate, and they had 54 other gangs to choose from, but they went right after the Southside Crips. So there's no doubt in my mind who's responsible for shooting Tupac and Suge Knight.
Now, as a result of this, in October, you and your partner Tim Brennan put together a multi-house search warrant.
That is correct.
And what was the purpose of this search warrant?
Well, we had two purposes, really. One, there was a war in the city of Compton, and innocent people were getting shot as well as gang members, and so we wanted to put a stop to that. So by hitting houses on both sides, both the Pirus and the Crips, and we wanted to quell the violence and try to stop it. The other reason was we wanted to try to help Las Vegas PD with their investigation of the shooting of Tupac and Suge.
And when you said you wanted to help the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department in their investigation of who shot Tupac and Suge, can you elaborate more on how you believed this search warrant might help Metro in this investigation?
Yes, the way we handle gang-related homicides is when we did the search warrant, we'd find a reason, hopefully, to arrest them. We'd find guns or narcotics in their house, and then we'd bring them down to the station. So you would have all the players that were involved, like that we heard about that was involved in the shooting of Tupac Shakur. So we rounded them all up, and hopefully Las Vegas PD would come down and try to interview them, try to get one of them to cop out, or to try to put them in Las Vegas, whatever they want to do on their investigation of the murder. We rounded up all the people for them, so that's how we helped them.
So the search warrant served two purposes. You have an active war going on, and you're trying to slow the violence in Compton, but you're also thinking, well, maybe we can get some of the folks who we think might be involved in the Tupac shooting to start talking as well.
Correct.
Did Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department send detectives out here for that purpose? Or out there for that purpose?
Yes, they sent 2 detectives.
Now, with regards to the search warrant itself, were a number of firearms recovered as well?
Yes.
And was part of the goal that maybe not only just take the guns off the street for the Compton war, but was there a hope that maybe the firearm for the Tupac Shakur murder might be recovered as well?
That's correct also.
It's fair to say that that did not happen.
That's correct.
You know, I'm actually going to approach with State's proposed exhibit number 161.
Okay.
I'm showing you what's proposed State's exhibit number 161.
I gotta get my glasses on.
No problem.
Okay.
Do you recognize what's in what State's proposed exhibit 161 is?
Yes, it's a search warrant.
And can you open it up and look through it? Do you recognize the search warrant?
Yes, I do. It was a search warrant that we prepared, well, Tim wrote after the Tupac shooting.
And was it, did you assist him in the investigation that led up to the search warrant?
Yes,
And did you assist him in giving him the information in order to get the probable cause?
definitely, yes.
And then did you also assist in executing that search warrant?
Yes.
Now, State's going to move State's proposed exhibit 161 as evidence.
Any objection, Mr. Smith?
No objection.
So admitted.
Now, there's been some allegation that the Compton Police Department was only focused on the Southside Crips when it came to trying to stop this war and stop this violence. Is it fair to say that among the houses that were searched included a large number of Mob Piru houses along with Southside Crips houses?
Yes, definitely. We hit many houses on both sides.
And is it fair to say that is a total of 38 residences that were looked into?
Yes.
And to include members of Mob Piru and Southside Compton Crips?
Yes.
Now, permission to approach, Your Honor?
No.
I'm going to show you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibits 162 and 163. Do you recognize what these are?
Yes.
What are they?
These are evidence that we collected at the scene.
Okay. And without going into the addresses, is it fair to say that these were evidence that were collected from Duane Davis's house and Duane Davis's family's house?
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm going to move State's Exhibits 162 and 163 to evidence.
Any objection? No objection. So admitted.
Okay, I'm going to first turn your attention to State's Exhibit 162. Can you finish that?
Yeah, you just want me to avoid the address, though, right? We have to avoid the address, so maybe take it off. Jessica, maybe take it off me while it comes up, so we can avoid the address itself. What page do you want, Mr.?
The fourth page, please. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Can you do the second page first?
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so this is the first address we're going to talk about here. And again, we're not going to go into what the actual address is, but do you recognize the people that are listed that were located at the address?
Yes.
And fair to say they were members of Mr. Davis's family?
Yes.
Now I'm going to turn your attention to the next page. And under on line number 5, do you see what's listed there as the receipt?
Yes.
And line number 5 is one hotel's receipt. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then line number 6 is one Compton Municipal Court subpoena. Is that correct?
Yes.
Then I'm going to show you State's Exhibits 163. If we can take it off us for a second.
Give me half a second here. Sorry, can we approach? I think you just got to show it to him, Mr. Blah. I don't think we can put it up.
Okay.
This is what it says.
So I'm showing you page 3 of State's Exhibit 163. Can you tell us what this document actually is?
Yeah, it's a receipt for property taken.
And then it actually mentions who is taking some of the property here, doesn't it?
Yes.
And who's that?
Myself.
Okay. And then one is a letter from the Excalibur Casino, is that correct?
Yes.
And then the other is an envelope addressed to Orlando Anderson, is that correct?
Yes.
And then the third is miscellaneous bills addressed to Orlando Anderson as well, is that correct?
Yes.
And all of these 3 items were collected by you, is that fair to say?
Yes.
So from Mr. Davis's home, and well, we'll start with 163. We have from Mr. Anderson's home, we have a receipt from the Excalibur. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then and is part of the reason why you're collecting that receipt is because it's relevant to the investigation as to who shot Mr. Shakur?
Yes, we thought it might be significant that it showed that Mr. Davis was in Las Vegas at the time of the shooting.
I guess in this one's Mr. Anderson, correct?
Yeah.
And then from Mr. Davis's house, there's also a receipt, a hotel receipt that was collected. Is that fair?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to approach. I'm going to show you States 160. And we're not going to talk about the addresses specifically, but the two addresses attributed to Mr. Anderson and Mr. Davis. One is at the top, and then one is at the bottom with a red dot. Is that correct?
Yes.
It's fair to say that they are very close to each other.
Yes.
I'm going to move 160's evidence.
Any objection?
No objection.
So admitted.
So Mr. Anderson, was he one of the people that was caught up during the search warrants, this 38 house search warrant?
Yes.
And was Mr. Davis around during the 38 house search warrant?
No, we couldn't locate him.
So you were able to locate Mr. Anderson, but Mr. Davis was just not around.
Correct.
And you don't know why or how that is.
That's correct.
But with regards to Mr. Anderson, it's fair to say Mr. Anderson at that point is a person of interest, at least, in the shooting of Mr. Shakur.
Definitely, yes.
And then at that point, do you make him available for questioning with Detective Becker from LVMPD?
Yes.
And does Mr. Becker make an attempt to question Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
And did any useful or relevant information come out during the course of that questioning?
Not that I was aware of.
Now, let's fast forward a little bit. You were aware that 6 months later, Christopher Wallace, also known as the Notorious B.I.G., also known as Biggie Smalls, he was killed in Los Angeles. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, was that in the Compton area?
No.
And so, were you responsible for the investigation into Christopher Wallace?
No.
But did you end up assisting the LAPD in trying to execute search warrants in an attempt to gather information on the murder of Christopher Wallace?
Yes.
And why were you the person, or you and Mr. Brennan the person that LAPD would ask for assistance?
Because we knew who all the players were, and we told them at the time that they had a little internal feud going with each other, and we were getting ready to do search warrants on them.
So you were getting ready to, they were having an internal feud. Is it fair to say that the 1997 search warrant served a dual purpose in a similar way that the 1996 search warrant served?
Yes.
So like in 1996, you have a war between Mob Piru and Southside Crips, and you're also trying to see if you can get any information related to the Tupac Shakur murder. Is that fair?
Correct. Yes.
And then in 1997, you had mentioned that there was an internal feud that had gotten violent. Is it fair to say that the Burris Street crew and the Glencoe Street crew on the Southside Compton Crips, that they had started engaged in their own violent feud?
Yes, definitely.
And as a result, and at that same time, there was some question as to whether or not members of the Southside Crips may be involved in the murder of Christopher Wallace.
Correct.
And so, were those two goals, or those two functions, part of the reason or the basis for executing the search warrants?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to show you what's been previously admitted as State's Exhibit 136. Do you recognize State's Exhibit 136?
Yes, this is a search warrant we did on.
And we're not going to talk about addresses by agreement, but it's a search you did on a different house from the houses that you did in 1996. Is that correct?
Yes.
And this is a different residence that was associated with Mr. Davis. Is that fair?
Yes.
Page 4 of 136.
It's not actually 136, but it is. Just give me a second.
Reports about this, Your Honor. We're just pulling that up.
Sure.
Jessica, you can put it on me.
And Mr. DiGiacomo, do you mind zooming in a little bit?
Yeah, if I figure out how to make the Zoom work on this. That didn't work. Let's see if the Zoom tool's not working.
Mr. Ladd, we're going to do this the old-fashioned way. It's going to be up there, but I want to show you page 4 of 136. It's still up there on the screen as well. On page 4, we have another receipt of property taken. Is that right?
Yes.
And on line 4, what do we have?
See, a money due bill for the Monte Carlo Casino.
Now, in relation to this search warrant as well as the other search warrant, really you can only take property that would be related to the investigation, correct?
Correct.
So, like, if I couldn't take just any random property just because I have a search warrant, can I?
No.
You have to take things that are related to the actual search warrant.
Correct.
Now, I am going to ask you, did you spend, you said you had worked at Compton till about, actually, let me rephrase. How long did you work at the city of Compton for?
From 1983 to 2001. I'm sorry, 2000.
Okay. Is it fair to say that at some point the Compton Police Department got swallowed up by the LA Sheriff's Office?
Yes.
And did you stay with? Did you sign on to the LA Sheriff's Office after that?
Yes.
Do you recall approximately how many of the Compton police officers stayed with the LA Sheriff's Office? Okay.
Go ahead if you want to
Okay,
finish. I'm sorry.
I don't want it to be like yesterday where we keep on interrupting each other. Do you recall how many of the Compton police officers were hired on by the LA Sheriff's Office when LA Sheriff's Office took over Compton Police Department?
Yeah, I'm not sure the exact number. I think there was like 103 of us, and I think all but 2 were hired by the Sheriff's Department.
Now, you ultimately left the LA Sheriff's Office, is that correct?
Yes.
And then where did you go to work after that?
I lateraled over to agency Garden Grove PD in Orange County.
Probably a little bit safer than the Compton Police Department.
You could say that, yes. It was still a busy city, but it wasn't nothing like Compton.
And then during that time period is when you started giving talks with Detective Brennan regarding your experience working blood and Crip gangs in Compton.
Yes.
Is it fair to say that Detective Brennan is no longer with us?
Yes, he passed away of cancer several years ago.
Oh, yeah. Now, I'd forgotten about one of the murders I wanted to talk, or one of the shootings I wanted to talk to you about during the war that escalated immediately after the shooting of Tupac Shakur. So I'm going back a little bit, and I apologize for that.
No problem.
One of the people that was shot was a man by the name of Bobby Finch. Is that correct?
Yes.
And Bobby Finch was actually killed on September 11th. Is that fair?
Yes.
Did Where did Bobby Finch live in relation to Corey Edwards?
Next door.
Was Bobby Finch a gang member?
No.
Was Corey Edwards a gang member?
Yes.
And what gang did he belong to?
Southside Crips.
And do Bobby Finch and Corey Edwards look alike?
Yes, they did.
Seal pass the witness.
Does anyone need to use the restroom before we get into cross? Seeing no hands, Mr. Sant. Oh. You're good? You're good? Restroom. Okay, perfect. All right. During this recess, you're admonished not to talk or converse amongst yourselves or with anyone else on any subject connected to the trial, or read, watch, or listen to any report or commentary on the trial of any person connected with this case by any medium of information, including without limitation, newspaper, television, internet, and radio, or form or express any opinion on any subject connected with trial until the case is submitted to you. I'll have you guys back here at, let's say, 2:15. Please rise for the jury. For the record, the jury has exited the room. We'll be in recess. Back on record in State versus Davis, C-377-407. Anything we need to address outside the presence before we bring the jury in?
Top of the state.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, let's bring him in. Randy. Not ready yet?
I guess we should stand since they're coming in.
After jury.
Do the parties stipulate to the presence of the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
You may be seated. All right, we're on cross. So whenever you're ready, Mr. Stamp, you may proceed.
Mr. Ladd, welcome to Las Vegas.
Thank you.
Now, during your time in Compton, seems like it was a pretty colorful time where you were there.
Very active, yes.
There's a movie called, I think, End of Watch. Have you ever watched that movie?
No.
Okay. Have you ever watched any movies at all from that time period? Like, say, I don't know what there was out there. Any of the LAPD movies during that time period? Have you ever watched any of those?
You have to be more specific.
I know.
Sorry.
I'm trying to figure out there's another one out there besides End of Watch. But you share basically your experience working as a Compton police officer to the time you started working as a detective for gangs in a book that you wrote.
Yes.
And that book is called and entitled Once Upon a Time in Compton, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you do write this book in addition to Timothy Brennan, your partner.
Yes.
Now, in the book, I've read the book, and when you guys are working together as a team, it's Tim and Bob, right, in the book. You guys, Tim and Bob, we did this, Tim and Bob, we did that, right?
Yes.
Now, the book itself, as you created the book, fair to say that that was a book that I would think that you would be proud of, the work that you put into the book.
Yes.
And in terms of the book itself, you could sit here basically as you're talking with us and this jury today, that the book is accurate in terms of what you recall during that time period, right?
Yes.
And you would have taken great pains to make sure that that book was accurate before it was published.
Yes.
Meaning, for instance, if you read something in the book that wasn't accurate and it wasn't published yet, you would make a note to either tell Tim or this other lady, I think her name is Lolita, that, hey, this isn't quite right, I don't remember that, and there would be some discussion, maybe changing or something, right?
Yes.
Okay. And in order for you to write the book, and I think you published this book in 2017,
Correct.
that was, and you started working for Compton in what year?
1983.
So, and you start off in the book from 1983 on in terms of your experience working as a police officer in Compton, as well as Tim's experience working as a police officer in Compton, right?
Yes.
Did you, I would imagine you would have used notes and that kind of thing to help refresh your recollection and help remind you of certain events, certain cases, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, because in the book, for instance, there's a lot of different people you run into. And there's a lot of different scenarios you run into as well, right?
Yes. Most of it was based off our memories, but
Yeah.
like for the search warrant or whatever, we could go back to a search warrant and look at that to refresh our memories.
Right.
Most of the stories are just from my memory.
Yeah, and fair to say, of course, it's also Tim's memory as well. So something that you would remember, he would remember, and vice versa, and you go, oh yeah, I remember this now, and you would say, oh yeah, I remember that now, right?
Yes.
So part of the book, in essence, really is it's teamwork between you and Tim and Lolita writing the book for you.
It's a collaboration. Yeah.
Collaboration. Okay. Now, did you write any of the book yourself?
Basically, we got Lolita Files to write the book, and we told the story to her.
Right. And
basically.
so
she actually wrote it, but it's our story.
right. And Lolita, meaning that this was an experienced writer that you recall, right? Before she wrote the book.
Absolutely.
And when she wrote the book, can you tell us a little bit about Lolita, who she was as a writer?
Yeah, she had several books that were published prior to that, and she was very up on the hip hop scene. So when we got together, and we kind of just clicked, and we collaborated to write the book.
And in terms of her background and so forth, did she go to school for that?
I'm not sure.
All right. And was she working as a journalist or a writer prior to you meeting her to write this book?
Yes.
Now, in addition to that, throughout the course of the book, you do put pictures in here, and pictures of you with darker hair and less of a goatee and more of a, looks like actually one without a picture of no much facial expression whatsoever. It's a picture of you as a young police officer. Now, the purpose for these pictures in your book is really to help establish some of the things that were happening during that time period, so the reader could see visually what was going on, right?
Correct.
Now, in addition to that, in the book, you had put as well, and the book, the picture, the picture that I was looking at is this picture right here. Do you recall this picture?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and once again, it's just to show your experience while you were being a police officer in Compton, right?
Yes.
Now, in addition to that, though, you do put in the back of your book some documents that were documents that you used in furtherance of your job as a detective at some point, right?
I don't really understand that question.
Meaning, for instance, in the back of your book, you do put in here a map of the Compton area gangs, for instance.
Yes.
You also put in here, and the Compton area gangs for the jury, we're talking just to highlight how compact of an area the city of Compton was and how many different areas was claimed by different types of gangs. Fair?
Fair.
Okay. In addition to that, you also had included in here the affidavit, the search warrant that we just talked about before, right? This 40 area search warrant.
Yes.
You put that in the book as well.
Yes.
And just for the jury's edification here, for instance, none of the information in here is redacted, meaning it's not taken out by a black mark or anything like that, right?
Correct.
All right. And I'm not trying to get anybody in position here to be in trouble, but in essence, the book and the information that's in here was readily available for anyone who wanted to buy and read it.
Correct.
Okay. Now, in addition to that, did you have a publisher on this?
At the beginning, we did, yes.
Okay. And what do you mean at the beginning?
Well, it was a publishing company, and we kind of had a little conflict with them, so we decided to leave them and self-publish.
I see. And so with Lolita's help, once the book was finalized and you and Tim both felt good about the finished product with Lolita, then you just published it yourself.
Yes.
How does that work?
Well, you just go to Amazon Books, and it kind of just runs you through it. It's kind of a complex system that you have to do certain things. I mean, I didn't really do it, so I can't really tell you the exact steps because I'm not very good on the computer. I know how to turn them off, and I know how to turn them on.
Well, let me ask you this in terms of what was happening with Amazon. Once you submitted it to Amazon, Amazon becomes the platform that sells the book.
Yes.
And so if someone's interested in the book, they just look it up and they click and they buy the book.
Correct.
Now, at some point, though, as they're buying the book, you receive a record as to how many people have purchased the book, right?
Yes.
And how much money you and Tim and Lolita would potentially be making for the sale of each book.